Hey everybody, it's me, Laura, the Eggcentric Egg Lady, and today we're going to do my design, Always Look for a New Horizon. And so right here, I'm just sketching out, or doing a really fast, rough sketch of my design. Now, I decided to go ahead and do kind of like a floral design, and this one is not going to be where it's set in an oval. Instead, this is going to run around the eggshell. So right here, I'm just trying to come up with that, that flower type look that I really like. And at first when I started doing this rough sketch, and it's a rough. So when it's a rough, you're doing something that's going to be, in my mind, this was very, very big. I mean, this tablet's probably like, I think it's about a 7x9 type tablet. And I'm just coming in and I'm just creating this thing. So the more I started doing it, the more I'm like, okay, I got to erase this down because it's a little bit too big. I want to get kind of a more detailed piece. And so you're going to see me, I'll be using my eraser quite a bit here. I'll come in, I'll start deciphering it down like, okay, that was a little too big, and we'll just make this a little bit smaller as we go. Okay, so here I've really started to get more and more definition. I'm starting to get my boundaries as to how big I want this flower type piece to look. And then we're just going to start moving on and adding in the extra details, especially in the, I want to say the band that goes around the egg with the words, always look for a new horizon. All right, so I'm bringing in my Uniball pen and I'm going to go ahead and start defining up all my little graphite pencil lines in this design. On some of my lines, I don't quite get all the way around. I mean, if you're drawing a really long line, I suggest don't do it. Do what I did here. I stopped at a certain point and then I made another little line that kind of correspondingly would go together, but there's a little bit of a gap. And part of that is because I want to be able to seal that gap up, but I want to make sure it will look right when I do so. So I really do suggest try using short lines when you're drawing out your designs. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys watch my hands talk as I continue to draw out on paper here the design that we're going to be using on our eggshell. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and introduce my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils that I'll be using in this design. So my first one is my Helio Reddish, which is a 151, my Ultramarine, which is a 120, my Light Ultramarine, which is a 140, my Sky Blue, which is like a 146, my Mauve, which is a 249, my Crimson, 134, Magenta, 133, my dark cadmium yellow, which is a 108, and my black, which is 199. So on this same page, I also like to add in not just the colors I'm going to be using, but if I have some blends going on. So right here with my magenta and my yellow, I wanted to introduce that and see what that would look like down on the paper. Now I know this is going to change a little bit when I go right to my eggshell, but it's kind of nice to have a little bit of these blends kind of put down and the colors as well, because then it gives me a reference point when I do go to my chicken eggshell. Here I wanted to go ahead and give you guys just a quick look at me doing this design on paper, and this is just the one side. I decided not to do the whole design because it gets pretty lengthy. And besides, we really want to get to that eggshell. So right here, I'm just using my blend of my magenta and my yellow. I'm just going to use my my pencil blender, which this is a Prismacolor pencil blender, excuse me. And I really love that particular blender. I don't know what it is, but it's one of my favorites. And I'm going in and of course I'm using my blues and everything else. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what this looks like on paper. Okay, right to our eggshell now. Now these are just regular square tiles, and I need to mark up my egg, which is just, it's got the base attached already, but I need to mark it. And so this is how I do it with my pencil, because it's all going to be a horizontal type design. And so I'm just taking my pencil, and I've got about 5 little tiles here, and I'm just drawing that line while keeping the egg strictly flat on the surface of my larger tile. And I remove a tile out whenever I want to drop down like a segment on creating another graphite line all the way around the egg horizontally. Now that I have these horizontal lines on my eggshell, I'm going in with my graphite pencil, and I didn't quite get this as close as I wanted, but close enough. Anyway, I'm just erasing up the one line that was not going to be relevant to me. I used it as a reference point to draw a little bit closer line on one side, and this is what's giving me that band around the egg with the saying that's going to be, always look for a new horizon. So go ahead and use your Sharpie marker then once you have this particular graphite line all the way around, and you're going to create a checker on both sides of that saying. All right, now I'm going to bring in my colored pencil, and I'm going to be using my magenta and my yellow, and I'm going to bring this around in this band here. And eventually I'm going to come in, I'm going to take my colored pencil blender, and I'm going to blend up the two colors together inside of this band. Once I have that done, I'm going to bring in my Sharpie marker yet again, and I'm going to go ahead and write out my saying really nice and neat. When I have that together, then I'll go ahead and use my, my water-based varnish to go over this particular section. So when I'm drawing up these designs on Eggshell, I like to make sure I do them in stages. So I will come in, like say I'm drawing up inside of this little band that's running all the way around the egg, and once I get it finished, once I get it all together, it looks really nice and everything, I'm going to come in and use that varnish to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Because I don't want to go ahead and start smearing the colored pencil once I have it all laid down the way I want it. So when I blend this up, I put it together, I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I'll take my little water-based varnish and go over this particular section. And then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, here I'm bringing in my words, and so, part of this is really my own font. It's my own scripty kind of handwriting. If you don't have a really great handwriting, or you don't have a really great font that you really love to go to when you write, I suggest going in and either finding a font book or practicing some different fonts before you go and approach trying to do this sort of thing. It really does make a whole world of difference if you have a font that looks good when you draw it. So if you don't really have one that's kind of perfected up and you haven't really practiced, handwriting that much, again, I say get a font book or just sit down and practice doing your cursive or doing a particular font that you love and that you want to be able to put on Eggshell. I am now going to start bringing in my varnish here, and you notice here I took my cotton glove off. And part of this is when I go to varnish, I'm like, I don't want to have that cotton glove on and then accidentally get it wet with varnish. Not a good idea. So I usually take off my cotton glove when I go to varnish a piece on my eggshell. And right here, I'm doing a very light coat. The nice thing about colored pencil, and I think really, no, just colored pencil in general, not necessarily watercolor pencil, but colored pencil, is when you go to varnish with my water-based varnish here, it does not smear or smudge. In other words, it's not going to run on you. I still like to go with a light coat when I cover this over, but it's not going to do anything, it's not going to run. And that's the one nice thing about dealing with colored pencil that's different from watercolor pencil. Now I'm going to work on the main ribbon running around this eggshell. And it really is based on just a singular kind of floral-like design that sits kind of on a flat plane, if you will. I don't know how else to describe this thing. To me, when I draw this stuff, to me it's very much Zentangling in my mind. I'm really not thinking so much about it. I'm just creating as I go. And this is actually a design that I will, redo over and over again, just in different forms or formats, or, even with different colors. So here, again, I'm just bringing in this little pointed flower thing. And when I create this flower thing, I'm going to do it on one side where I have the always look, okay? And then on the other side of it, I'm going to put that same flower feature on the other side directly opposite. And the little black, I want to say little black scroll work or, curls that kind of come off of this flower, this will just go right along onto the side. And I just have then my polka dot, which kind of runs throughout. I want to mention here that you notice that I draw up part of it and then I ink it, or I put the colored pencil down and then I varnish over it. And then I come into another section, I draw it up, I color it up, and then I ink it or whatever, and then I varnish over it. It's very different than when you're dealing with a paper piece. Nine times out of 10, when I'm doing this on paper, I'll go in, I'll draw up most all of my graphite design, and then I'll come back in with the ink, I'll ink it up, and then later I'll come back in with, say, my colored pencil. So the process, from paper to eggshell is a little bit different. And really, how colored pencil, how Sharpie marker, how graphite really is applied onto eggshell and how it reacts differently from paper is also another whole beast. But they are so much fun to work with, so much fun to experiment in, that I really just enjoy all of it. But from here, I'm going to go ahead and again let my hands talk as I keep creating this design, and I'll join you as soon as we get done with this band around the egg. Okay, I'm bringing in my Sharpie marker one more time, and we're going to start to define up all these little areas that I've already colored in. And I really like to bring in my Sharpie marker after I've put down the colored pencil. And I do that mainly because the thing is with color pencil, I'm going to be blending it. I like to use my colored, or I should say my colorless pencil blender. I like to bring that in. And you know, you get crumbs on there. I'm brushing them off with my brush. I'm handling this egg with my cotton glove. And really, out of the two, when it comes to the colored pencil and the Sharpie marker is going to wear off faster than the colored pencil. I don't know what it is about it, but it generally does. I mean, you know, it doesn't take much, and you can easily smudge off a little bit of Sharpie marker from your eggshell. And I think part of it too is because of the surface of the egg itself. When you look at paper, of course, you put Sharpie marker down, that thing is permanent. It ain't going anywhere. I mean, you could get it wet and it's going to go ahead and bleed out. But the thing is, on eggshell, you don't get that. Instead, what happens is it just kind of comes right off. You know, it doesn't go down really deep into the eggshell. You know, yes and no. No, with Sharpie marker, no, it doesn't do that. With maybe other kinds of ink, yes. But with Sharpie marker, no, it does not really go down into the eggshell that much. And so it kind of just sits on that surface. So really, This is why I always like to come in later, especially if I'm going to apply Sharpie marker or any kind of marker ink-wise after the fact when it comes to that colored pencil. Okay, we are finally onto the last part of this design, and that is the very top. So right here, I have this circular piece. You know, when you have more of a border design all the way around the egg in this horizontal fashion, you're always going to have this portion on the top where it's like, okay, I got to fill it in with some kind of design. And so it's really kind of nice. We could come in with a nice oval piece and put that in. Now, if I was doing this with other media, like say polymer clay, I might change it up entirely and do something a little more three-dimensional. But in this case, since we are using just the colored pencil, I'm designing up yet that one design I had on the paper originally, that mandala part that was sitting on the side, that goes right here on the top of the eggshell. And I'm going to come in with my colored pencil and again with my marker. I'll finish it up, do up the little varnish on it, and we'll have one finished beautiful eggshell design. So this is the end result of my egg, Always Look for a New Horizon. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I'm sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.